And we are moving to the second keynote, and this is going to be about Lumi AI Factory, pioneering the future of AI innovation in Europe. The presentation is going to be given by Markus Koskela, Development Manager at Lumi AI Factory in CSC in Finland. And they have very nice wolves, you know, so I'm really looking forward to it because I really love the picture. So please welcome Mr. Koskela on the stage. Here is the microphone, and here is the presenter. Thank you.
Looks like this. Okay, so good morning, everyone. I'm Markus Koskela from CSC, which is the IT Center for Science in Finland. And among other things, we are hosting the Lumi supercomputer, and then also now recently starting to coordinate the Lumi AI Factory, which is kind of my main topic here today. I'm a development manager in the Lumi AI Factory Service Center. I will soon talk a bit more on what that is. And there I'm responsible for AI expert support, so user support, AI consultations, training, skills development, such things. So I'm not a data person. So I have, because of the nature of this conference, I have a bit more on the data side on the slides than normally, but definitely I'm not an expert on those things. So more on the compute and AI methods and supporting the supercomputers for doing AI on them. So first about the AI factories. This was an idea coming from the European Commission. They launched the AI innovation package last year. And the idea was to support European startups, European SMEs, especially in the development of trustworthy AI or AI in general. And then there was a series of calls for these AI factories. First ones were last year, end of year, and the first 7 AI factories were announced in December, and then 6 more in March of this year. And I think that a couple of more are still coming, but anyhow, there are now 13 of these AI factories around Europe. And what is an AI factory? Well, one simple answer to that is it's compute, data, and talent. So there's always some supercomputer attached to an AI factory. It might be an existing supercomputer like Lumi. It might be a new supercomputer that is being purchased or procured and then installed as part of this AI factory funding, or that some existing supercomputer might be enhanced for AI capabilities as part of this. Then there's a lot of focus on data. So how to get access to data? Well, you need data for AI. So what are the kind of different ways of making sure that all the necessary connections to data are there, and kind of how to support the data side? That's a big part. And then otherwise kind of just talent. So there is the part of the funding for the support centers or kind of supporting the talent ecosystem in AI. And then also there is a focus area or focus areas for every AI factory. So every AI factory needs to focus on some AI ecosystem, some communities, depending, I guess, partly or mostly on the national AI strategies, or in case of a consortium, like with the Lumi AI Factory, the AI strategies of all the consortium countries. Okay, and our idea or our vision for the Lumi AI Factory was along these lines: to create a comprehensive and accessible service infrastructure empowering AI startups and SMEs, yes, but also academic research, and other public and private users in developing innovative AI models and applications. And how to do this? Our starting point is the existing LUMI supercomputer, which is running there in Kajaani data center. So start with that, then install a new, kind of the next one, or the successor of LUMI, which will be an AI-optimized supercomputer, and also have an experimental quantum computing platform. Therefore, there on the side for kind of quantum accelerated AI, so quantum computing for AI and also AI for quantum computing. And for all this, the goal is to have a world-class computing environment that has access to new kinds of data sources, and there is the data service center that helps with the talent regarding this development of these AI things. So the starting point is the current LUMI. So it is a HPE supercomputer located roughly in the middle of Finland. There is a small dot there, if you can see it, in Kajaani. It's located in an old paper mill there, and it has a consortium of 11 countries, shown here also on the map, that are part of the LUMI consortium, and then the other half of the machine is owned by the Commission, so EuroHPC. So every European user may request access to LUMI, like with any EuroHPC supercomputers. So LUMI used to be the fastest supercomputer in Europe for quite some time, but now in the latest top 500 list, there were a couple of systems that passed it. So currently it is number 3 in Europe and number 8 in the global top 500. LUMI has already been used for AI for many things. This is a slide about the AI factory. So this has some company or industry cases, but we have had many research projects already, large ones, couple of large ones, and of course a lot of smaller ones. Yesterday it was mentioned the Finnish LLM Poro, trained by Silo AI and Turku NLP or University of Turku. Then there is the Nordic large language model Viking. It has all the Nordic languages included, and now we are working on the Open Euro LLM for all the European languages and also some other ones as well. And then there are others like Open Web Search was also yesterday. Elliot is also something that what we'll be doing in LUMI once the project gets started. And then some company cases here. Maybe I'll just mention a few. So Supersite is maybe quite interesting. It's for counting people. I think this case is for the trams in a couple of cities in Finland, so Tampere and Helsinki, and they have been installed on the trams built by Skoda Transtech, which is actually also the factory, coincidentally, in Kajaani. Then healthcare, human posture estimation, analysis of satellite images. So ICEYE is this company that has these SAR, synthetic aperture radar satellites, and they are analyzing or doing research or development on LUMI for those, and many more. Okay, but then to LUMI AI Factory. So I said that it has the 3 components or 3 pillars. There is the AI optimized supercomputer, LUMI AI. the new thing that will eventually replace the current Lumi. Then we have the service center, where also I'm working basically to have a center to help in with the data, with the software development, with the AI methods, everything related to this, of course, networking, ecosystems, all that. And then the experimental quantum computer, Lumi IQ. And like with Lumi, we have a consortium for the Lumi AI Factory as well. So it's a bit smaller. Instead of 11, there are currently 6 partners in the consortium. IT for Innovation for the Czech Republic, and then Denmark, Estonia, Norway, and Poland. Some are missing from the Lumi consortium, like Sweden. Maybe they wanted to have their own AI factory instead of joining us for some reason. The budget of this entire thing is over 600 million euros, and half of it comes from the EU, half from the member countries. This is the largest public computing ecosystem investment in Finland ever, among the largest in Europe, and of these Euro HPC AI Factory investments, so those 13 that have been announced, this is the largest. So Lumi is the largest and most beautiful, like our director Pekka Manninen likes to say quite often. Most of the budget goes to the new machine, so Lumi AI, but also it is a significant investment to talent and competence development as well. So there is nice funding for the service center as well, even though that, of course, the new machine is expensive and takes most of the funding. I said already about the focus areas. So every AI factory has to have some focus areas or key industrial sectors. For us, we have defined manufacturing, health and life sciences, and then communication technologies and networks. And these are also driving different kinds of data issues. So manufacturing is always often consisting of these company clusters. There might be some bigger company and then a lot of smaller companies next to it. So how to handle this kind of company clusters related to data and other things. Then of course health, life sciences, sensitive data is always a question there. And then with telecom, we have identified this kind of computing continuum from edge to the cloud or HPC. So how to handle that, and also like dynamic streaming data coming from the edge devices. Sensitive data, streaming data, these have been kind of problematic for supercomputers. So here we now are trying to solve these issues. And then some horizontals like simulations for science, AI for science, digital twins, and also ease of use, supporting AI startups, because AI startups don't want to submit an application and then wait a couple of months to get access. They want to have access in days or as soon as possible. This has been identified as a problem, and this has already been taken seriously with the Lumi AI Factory and the others as well. Timeline. So this slide has suffered a bit from the conversion to PDF, but sorry about that, but maybe I'll try to use this. So basically the service center is here. It has already been launched in the 2nd of April, and it's operational. We are using the current Lumi system now, and then trying to procure and install the Lumi AI, the new system, and then the experimental Lumi IQ quantum platform. Maybe this is a bit overly optimistic, this 26, so maybe Lumi AI and Lumi IQ would be more realistically available in 27. But the service center is up and running, and the AI factory therefore is operational. We are in the ramp-up phase because we started not from scratch, but we are hiring a lot of people and building a lot of new things. So not everything is yet there. We aim to have some kind of steady state after the summer, but anyhow, we are getting applications, reviewing them, giving consultation and all that already, even though that it's not full speed yet. Okay, then I'll talk a bit more about the services that the Lumi AI Factory can offer. So talent, training, latest skills and technology. So we will have a structured training path, and there's also tailored trainings. Then consultations for companies. So kind of not just answering to tickets and answering to specific questions, but really working with the companies to help in their AI cases. This is something new. We haven't really done this, so it has mostly with Lumi it has been mostly like we just help them to get started with Lumi. Many companies come from the cloud, so the HPC and supercomputers are somewhat new. So often there is some kind of a learning period in the beginning. Then AI adoption and also physical presence. So we are going to have these AI factory hubs. So co-working spaces. One that has been decided is in the Aalto University campus in Helsinki, next to the Ellis Institute, Finland. But kind of other hubs, other co-working spaces are being planned as well. Then compute. So of course that's my cup of tea. We will continue to provide computing capacity, first with Lumi and then with the Lumi AI once it is operational. One thing we will focus on more is the kind of model serving part, so inference, so not just training the models, but actually also using them for different purposes. Maybe also, of course, the quantum things are always experimental, but maybe there will be some kind of real use cases already for quantum during the quantum IQ. Let's see what happens. I'm not an expert on quantum, so please don't ask me about anything related to that, but I can forward the questions. People that know. And then expert support, so MLOps environments, human support, consultation, AI assistants, such things. Then data. So data is a priority. And for this, I think the main or major initiative is this dataset as a service idea that what we are thinking on. So this is also related to EOSC. So in relation to EOSC, also the same thing or very similar thing is being thought at CSC as well. Probably wider as well. Direct connections to data spaces, data repositories, sourcing, negotiating and curating high-value data sets, help with the data wrangling, data engineering, and then streaming data, like I already mentioned. So, as I said, data as a service, the idea is that this is the primary data offering in the Lumi AI Factory to unlock access to data, support data management for AI and workflows. The idea, or at least the current planning, is that it is a data management mode that provides access to data, allowing users to store, manage, and retrieve data from various sources without needing extensive resources or infrastructure of their own. So this is very much under planning, under development, what this will be, and I think it will evolve during the project, although we are promising some kind of a starting point for the data as a service, I think already in the fall. But it will not be ready by then. There will be many requirements for this, technical requirements, functional requirements, security, operational requirements, business requirements. Again, I'm not an expert on these, but I'm happy to forward any kind of specific questions about these to people that are working on the dataset as a service as well. Okay, then also one other thing is this data labs. So the European Commission had in April this AI Continent Action Plan that included, among other things, the AI gigafactories. So just when we starting these AI factories, they are already talking about the AI gigafactories. Let's see what that brings us. But anyhow, another thing in the AI Continent Action Plan was the data lab concept, some kind of interfaces between data spaces and AI developers on different themes like manufacturing, defense, LLMs, health, sustainability, and so on. I guess this will be some kind of shared initiatives between the AI factories. So an AI factory may want to participate in some of these, one or more than one, or maybe all of these thematic data labs. And at the Lumie AI Factory, I guess we are currently thinking that, okay, what does this mean for us? What are the thematic data labs that are interesting to us? But I guess very much is still unknown, but I guess what is currently the thinking is that this is not completely something different than what our plans for data have been in the Lumie AI Factory. So I think this is compatible with the Lumie AI Factory data plans that we have. But new information hopefully coming soon. Here it says likely in June or July, so looking forward to that. Some data sets I'm just showing here. So Open Web Search was already mentioned yesterday. Then there is the HPLT, Open EuroLLM data sets that are already in Lumie. Destination Earth is this large strategic EU project about the digital twin of the Earth, and it's a very major initiative at CSC as well. So that's something that we are working on with a lot of manpower. And then third one here is the big picture, repository of digital pathology slides. This I'm not familiar with, but apparently this is also available in Lumie as well. Okay, so how are these services offered? So Lumie is for RD&I, so research, development and innovation, not for operational use. So the idea is not that some company or somebody else would be running their day-to-day operations on the Lumi AI Factory or Lumi. Another basic principle is that the services are free of charge to startups, SMEs, research users, research customers, and the public sector. And then for large companies, there will be a price list. They are also welcome, but not for free. Access is based on the existing Euro HPC Lumi access rules, which are still there and have been there and are still there, but also now we have the new AI Factory access modes, AI for industrial innovation, AI for science, and collaborative EU projects. I guess this latter one is this AI for science and for collaborative EU projects would be the kind of correct call for Elliot, for instance, or like some other new EU projects that require lots of compute. The AI for industrial innovation is mostly meant for SME startups to get quick access. So we were not particularly happy when we heard that, okay, we are now supposed to give a technical review of these proposals in the worst case in 2 days. So we are we are not used to that level of response time. So this is something that we are thinking that, okay, how do we handle this during the vacation period? So there are playground, fast lane for quick access, and then large scale for bit larger projects. Then larger resources are available. It's not as simple as with the small playground and fast lane, but still the processing has been expedited from the earlier processes. And then we have had these national collaborations in Finland with Business Finland, and I guess some other countries have some similar things, and this might also be a thing, but we are currently thinking about that. Okay, I'll go through these pretty quickly. So some examples of customer journeys. So there might be a hackathon on something, for instance, satellite data. For students, the AI Factory can support that for giving computation and data platforms. Then some of the teams might continue working and found a startup on that. So AI Factory can then continue providing the compute and data, support with the AI methods, evaluating technical feasibility of the plans. Then if the company matures the idea into an MVP, the AI Factory can support in the sourcing larger data collections, validating the MVP, and then when it's time to go to market, the AI Factory can support on compliance, so AI Act, regulatory sandboxes, these kinds of things. From this, I'll just say that the AI Factory basically services can be one-stop shop, so we provide more or less a wide range of services, or that we just answer some particular question, or use our ecosystem, use the European network to kind of point the customer into correct direction. Okay, then lastly, I have some slides about the EOSC in relation to the Lumi AI Factory. And well, first thing here is that we have the EOSC Finnish national node that is being prepared as a gateway to the researchers in Finland to EOSC and other researchers outside Finland toward us. So it will have national research data resources. Research.fi was already mentioned yesterday, and then some other services training, and things like that. And also then there is the kind of course the link to Lumi AI Factory and the entire Euro HPC as well. The NEOSC FI node is being worked on or designed. Currently, the idea is to build the user interface, the architecture, still this year, and then federate with the My Access ID, which is the access mechanism used by Lumi as well. Integrate with metadata and service catalogs. Develop the concept of dataset as a service. So this is a shared work with the dataset as a service in the Lumi AI Factory. So the idea is not to have two different dataset as a service services, but a single one or compatible ones. Test federation with the other nodes, serve EUDAT, and onboard resources of other national stakeholders. Expected benefits, hope is that this will provide more visibility to the Finnish resources, maximizing their use and reuse at European and national level, increase the visibility of Finnish institutions, contribute to the EOSC FI node, acting as a central reference point for national researchers and the national resources, and then advance the open science and incentivize the verification of repositories and services. Okay, but what does this mean for the AI Factory? Some overall considerations. So we see in the AI Factory the EOSC is or will be valuable resources for feeding the AI Factory with data, with the high-value research data sets. So definitely it's a fundamental thing that we need to be able to connect the AI Factory, Lumi AI Factory in our case, and the EOSC ecosystem. Then there's another thing, there's a new EU project, the European Euro HPC Federation platform that aims to connect all the Euro HPC supercomputers or AI factories on the European level. And another thing is that we need to make sure that EOSC and Euro HPC are interoperable, are connected, so the EOSC Federation and the Euro HPC Federation platform are compatible. And then there are already these national nodes of research, infrastructures, Clarin, Elixir. Elixir was also mentioned yesterday. And if these research infrastructures are becoming EOSC thematic nodes, then it's important to understand the relation between the national and thematic nodes. What is the joint thing there? And then finally, a major effort, as I already mentioned, for CSC and Lumi as well is the Destination Earth. So we have a lot of people working on that. It's a strategic project of Euro HPC. And what happens to that? If that becomes a thematic node in EOSC, that will be a major thing affecting us. Okay, I have still 6 minutes in the clock, but I'm running out of my slides, so maybe we can use that for discussion. So the Lumi AI Factory is operational. We don't yet have our own domain, so we are piggybacking on the lumisupercomputer.eu, and the main contact address at the moment is aifactory@lumisupercomputer.eu. That will change once we will have the Lumi AI Factory domain running as well. But for any inquiries, any questions, anything, AI Factory at Lumi Supercomputer. EU is the address, and more information, links to even the EuroHPC site and access modes and everything can be found in the lumiSupercomputer.eu. Okay, that was all I had. Happy to.
Thank you very much for the presentation, and again, possibilities for questions. Bernd, yeah?
Yes, I'm also not an expert in quantum computing, but would be very interested in first, how many qubits are you building? And the second question would be that you mentioned that you're building quantum for AI. That is for me clear because you can use it for hyperparameter tuning, for example, but also AI for quantum. And I would be interested, what are you using AI for? Is it the error correction of the qubits, or is it something else? Or yeah, that's the question.
Yeah, the amount of qubits, well, I have probably that information on some slide there, but maybe I will not say anything because it will be wrong anyhow. But the idea is to have kind of not just one quantum computer, because the field moves so fast that we will have, at least with the current plan, like 3 different quantum computers during this time of the, so to start with something and then keep increasing it. And the second question, AI for quantum computing. So I have understood there is kind of some pre-processing before that AI might be useful before the quantum computer, and then also the error correction. But definitely these things are not. I'm happy to point you to our quantum experts. We have a team for that, but that's not my field, unfortunately.
Thank you. Slido, please.
We have here a question. How much extra use do you expect from giving access to more potential resources through the EOSC Federation?
I guess this refers to compute.
Yes, I suppose.
Yeah, so basically all the resources we grant are based on these research applications or proposals, or almost all of them. But basically there is the EuroHPC has its own access modes, like I was talking about, the AI for innovation and such things. And then, but I think that every research proposal, research or compute proposal is evaluated separately, and kind of if this makes sense and there is enough resources for this, it will be granted and such, but we don't really split them in that way. Of course, if you are requesting a lot of resources, like the extreme scale applications, that deadline was in April, and we are currently evaluating them, so you really need to show the scientific reason why is this. Why so much resources should be given to you? That what is the scientific problem you are trying to solve and such. But like EOSC doesn't have its own thing. But it's always a kind of if this is technically something that can be done, and then for the larger resources that is something that is valuable enough.
Okay, thank you. Any other question? Audience or Slido? Yeah, one more.
We have one more. Do you know how the additional costs brought by additional use of Lumi resources will be funded?
Well, if we talk about the AI Factory, new things that what the AI Factory has brought, so that's the EuroHPC side of things. So the European Commission owns half of the machine, and they give the resources to whoever they want. So taxpayer money, I guess, unless it is a large company. So then there's also the question about the state aid rules and all that, so that larger companies, they have a price list, and maybe also if you do fully closed development, that you are not willing to share anything. That in some cases that also might be cost something, but that remains to be seen.
Okay, thank you very much. So I will have probably last question before the coffee break. The only Finnish word that I know, it's puhelin. That means a phone, you know. Yeah. Yeah. That basically leads me to the question how to call a wolf, you know, to the AI factory. So you mentioned that there is the applications, right? And then the SMEs have 2 days response, and you don't like it so much. But for the researchers, how long it takes to get you to pick up the phone, the puhelin in Finland, if a researcher in the Czech Republic, for example, asks for the resources?
Yeah, so of course, for user support, we answer the phone or hopefully the ticket mostly immediately, of course, or as soon as possible. But for getting resources, so I think that development and benchmark, it takes maybe a month or few weeks, I would say, of course. Of course, we cannot control everything because it's a Euro HPC as well, but the question is maybe some weeks for smaller things. Then the extreme scale, that the call for that was in April, and I think that all these scientific panels and evaluations does mean that the extreme scale projects will be open in September, maybe.
Okay. So thank you very much. I would say that the message is clear for the Czech researchers. Please start calling the wolf via the email that was shown on the last slide of Mr. Koskela presentation. So once again, thank you very much for that.
Thank you.
So in just one more organizational thing. Thank you very much for the presentation.
Thank you.
Yeah. And now the coffee break. So we will be back at 11 o'clock, and the second morning session is going to be about flash talks about AI and again fair data. So enjoy the coffee break and be back please at 11 o'clock. Thank you.